At the outbreak of war in the East, the KV-1 was perhaps the most formidable tank in the world, with armour capable of withstanding shots from the majority of weapons at the time. So invulnerable was this Russian colossus that it gave rise to some, quite frankly, legendary battles. Following on from the complicated and somewhat underwhelming T-35 heavy tank, and the need to fulfill the evolving Soviet doctrine of deep battle, a new heavy tank specification was drawn up in 1939. The specs required a tank that was not necessarily fast, but that was a heavily armed and armoured siege tank. This gave birth to the dual-turreted SMK prototype. I mean, look at this. Someone was clearly at the vodka. The Russian developers, however, considered that this behemoth might be a bit OP, and so decided to nerf it by drawing up a single-turreted version. 3 different prototype tanks, the SMK, the KV and T-100, were field-tested in Finland during the Winter War of September to December 1939. The KV, named after Kliment Voroshilov, who was the People's Defence Commissioner, and a ladies' man, outperformed the other prototypes, and production was given direct approval, thereby abandoning the multi-turreted SMK project. 50 KVs were ordered initially, and versions were continually tweaked and upgraded throughout production. There wasn't really a set definitive moment where versions were changed, but there were originally 2 distinct types. The first, known as the KV Little Turret, to be armed with a 76mm gun, and the second, known as the KV Big Turret, armed with a 152mm howitzer. This was to deal with the concrete bunkers that were used by the Finns. These would only later be designated as the KV-1 and the KV-2. The KV featured elements which we now instantly recognise in Russian tank design, such as the layout of the running wheels and the extra-wide tracks, as well as features which were beginning to be phased out, such as the vertical machine gun glacis, which on the KV was angled, unlike its German and British counterparts. By the start of Operation Barbarossa, there were approximately 500 KV tanks in the Soviet arsenal, and it sported armour that was almost impenetrable to any tank-mounted weapon in service, except at all but the most suicidally point-blank ranges. Its own 76mm was more than a match for opposing tanks. In a move that countless tomatoes would try and fail to replicate on Abbey, the second day of the attack saw a single KV-1 successfully stall the advance of parts of the 6th Panzer Division for a full 24 hours. It ran out of ammunition and had to withdraw, but the fact was that at the start of the campaign, alarming German reports all pointed in the same direction. These tanks were nearly unstoppable, earning them the nickname Russian Colossus. The KV tank was unlike anything the German army had expected to encounter. To put it in pleb language, they were running tier 2 to 4 tanks and having to fight against a tier 5 monster. As mentioned earlier, this did lead to some quite frankly heroic battles. On August the 14th, 1941, at somewhere near Leningrad, 5 well-entrenched KV-1 tanks were under the command of a Lieutenant Zinovy Kolobanov, with the aim of controlling a choke point and preventing the 6th Panzer Division's vanguard from reaching Leningrad. These tanks, plus 2 in reserve, were armed with twice the usual ammunition supply, 2/3 of which were anti-tank armour-piercing rounds. Kolobanov's gunner, an Andrei Usov, destroyed the lead German tank with his very first shot from his concealed position, and at such a range that the Germans first thought that it had hit an anti-tank mine. When the column stopped, Usov fired for a second time, destroying the second German tank with his very next shot. Realizing now that they were under attack, but unaware from where, the German tanks tried to respond, but Usov's third shot knocked out the trailing tank, boxing in the entire column and giving future computer game developers all the statistics they'd needed for historically correct Russian accuracy. As a unit, the well-planned ambush destroyed 43 German tanks during the single action, lasting approximately 30 minutes. At the end of the battle, Kolobanov counted a total of 135 hits on his tank alone, none of which had penetrated. The Germans were, well, quite frankly, impressed with the KV-1, and captured versions were pressed into German service. Some were fitted with a high-velocity 75mm gun, as used in the Panzer IV, and some were also fitted with extra armour protection, as if it was needed, and a commander's copula. I think we've pretty much established that, well, the KV-1 was a bit of a beast. So let's see what this means in-game. So here we are in a tier 5 game. We are top tier, which is great. This tank has been fully upgraded. It's got a fairly good crew in it. Let's see if we can match Kolobanov's record. The matchmaker has decided to balance against the KV-1 and the KV-220, which is on our team, by giving the enemy team one extra tier 5, one less tier 3, and a Hetzer. So this ought to be fun. But other than that, you know, not too concerned about the balance of the teams because I'm top tier. So there we go. We're going to go and fight over with our heavy armor, making use of that heavy armor on the 9-0 line down by the village, perhaps not so far over. And it might take us a little while to get there, but once we're there, we'll be able to engage at short ranges. I've got a lot of armor, and I'm going to use it to ensure that we can spread communism, at least in this corner of the map. Just try to avoid walls and buildings. Oh, that's going to make us artillery target. You can see the artillery is already shooting. I think that was artillery. But yes, we don't want to try and knock over all of the walls because, yeah, artillery can see when you do that. And that's probably going to be the biggest threat in this game for a tank like this. Luckily, we've got someone who's offering to say hello to the enemy, and he's immediately regretting his life choices. I'm going to have to obviously leave my insurance details over there as well to fix that. Oh, don't shoot now. Yet, seemingly unable to penetrate the angled tank, but then get him on the when he's disappeared perfectly. And there's another KV. Haha. Right, and a Panzer IV, and they're all showing us the side armor. So I'm going to try and side scrape a little bit, perhaps, because that way I can increase the effectiveness of this armor. And now I've got some ablative armor, because everyone knows that the best armor for your tank is actually another tank. So now I've got quite a good position. He's probably only been able to see my turret here, and yeah, he's thinking better of it, I think. So he's going to step away now. Let's see. Now there is really only one way to deal with things in a Russian tank, and it usually involves advancing towards the enemy. If we look historically, you know, this tank was very well armoured, and yes, it could hold position, but equally it could advance on positions and still remain impervious. Yes, it's got to be dangerous once you get into close ranges. He's not wanting any of that, so he's out of there. So let's see where we're going. We are engaging at short ranges, which will help. Obviously, to be fair, in a Russian tank it doesn't actually make much difference. Many people do believe that the smaller the accuracy number, the more accurate the gun is. But for Russian tanks, the opposite is actually true. Well, I missed that one, but still. In any case, you know, the truth is that for Russian tanks, if your aiming circle is bigger, then actually that means you've got more chance of hitting the enemy that are within that circle. So just remember that when you're out there taking your shots in your Russian tanks. We're going to continue advancing because I'm going to have to get in close to the enemy where I can really abuse my rate of fire. Let's see if there's a guy over there. I'm not going to fully aim because I don't need to fully aim. Who needs to fully aim when you're in a Russian tank? And let's continue advancing now that we've cleared the center. He's not going to get shots on the side, so we can present our strongest front armor towards the enemy. We're already up to 3 kills. There are tanks appearing. Can I get a shot on this dude? Stole that kill. That's perfect. Now up to 4 kills. Well, and oh no, he's thought better of that. I jizzed that one out a little bit too quickly. So he's hidden back behind the rock. Oh, he's back. Oh no, he's gone again. He is only a tier 3, so let's just roll in, I suppose. Do have to be careful. There is still an artillery piece around here somewhere. But we're just going to abuse this guy in his little tier 3 tank, and yes, he's out of the way. Now, I do still have that KV-220 with me, which is going to make this next... Oh. Well, I'm now on my own. I'm a little bit overextended at the moment. The KV-220 just been killed, but I think that was the artillery that got him. So I'm a little bit now on my own, and this is where the lack of mobility is going to come in to hurt us potentially. So we can't really afford to back out and go round the other way. We're going to have to essentially just continue to advance and pray for the support of our teammates. Which, as being a random battle, this is probably not going to end very well. But I've got 5 kills, so, you know, this is not too bad yet. It's not you know, it could be worse. Moving forward, can I get seen or see anything? Nope. So I think what we're seeing now is actually the negative side of the KV-1, and that is his lack of mobility. And in reality, this is really what was the downfall for the KV-1. It was a dog of a tank to drive. It was, well, too big, too heavy, and too slow. Had lots of armor, which we've already shown in this game has been an advantage, but firepower-wise, it was actually proved to be, you know, relatively in line with the T-34 medium tank, which has the other bonus of being a lot faster, being able to move those guns around the battlefield where they were needed. Historically, it took field reports from senior commanders and certified heroes who could be honest without fear of punishment to reveal just exactly how difficult and awkward the KV-1 really was. Ultimately, it just provided little advantage over the much more mobile T-34 tank. And can I see anything? Ah, there he is. Aha! Can I get a shot on him? No, he's on the other side of the crest. Right, this is where I need my teammates to pummel him down a little bit. Perfect. Now he's a bit more of a juicier target. Hit him again, and then it'll make it easier for me, please, guys. Oh, and I'm getting shot from somewhere else. And there's artillery, and he's fired. And no, I want this kill. There's a top gun. Now, can I get the artillery before he hides away? I think he's going to go before I get the shot. Should I take the shot anyway? Let's take the shot, because whoever else that is that's shooting at me, yeah, it's definitely the T-28, but he's having trouble pinning me, so that's not necessarily a surprise, to be honest. I'm at a distance and angled. I'm going to pull back, drop out of view range, because I don't really want to take the next artillery hit so easily. Let's knock over a few trees. We're going to use our speed, as we've seen that that's such a great advantage of this tank, to just advance through the trees using some cover, so then like that we won't be spotted until right at the last moment. And then by that point, hopefully once he opens fire, he'll reveal his position to us. Let's see where you are. I've been spotted. Where's the shot? There it is. Now he's penetrated, but now he is in a bit of trouble. The artillery's on his way back. Uh-oh. No, I hope he doesn't wreck me. Don't wreck me now. Oh, there's a Radley Walters if I can get this shot. No, I've been hit. And there's the Radley Walters, which is great. Well, Radley Walters isn't Russian, of course, so it's not that great. But, you know, all of that was actually just brought about by using the principles of the KV-1 design. Using its armor and its good firepower to advance on the enemy. And, yeah, let's abuse lower tier tanks, I suppose. But if I can do it, then you guys definitely can do it as well. I hope you guys have enjoyed learning a little bit more about the KV-1 tank. If you liked what you've seen, then please do hit that like button. If your standards are low enough, then please feel free to subscribe. And until next time, you've been oinked.